So it is Monday. For other people, it's afternoon. For me, it's in the morning. Almost 2 hours for the afternoon. And I heard from Tom that it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius, and just praying that there'll be a cool breeze during this time of training. Please welcome Sean Gray. He's the Tech Advance Director. He's been working with us for the past year. Been very vital with the work of Bible translation with Tech Advance, and we do appreciate his encouragement. And please welcome Sean as he begins training. Thank you.
Well, hello. It's good to see everybody this morning for me, this evening for you.
Sure.
We are very thankful for you for logging on, and just this is an opportunity for you to for us to work through some steps before we show up in your region of the world, your part of the world, and go more in depth in these different programs. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about USFM Converter. And so it takes USFM files and converts them into a more readable format, where you actually have some ability to be able to set how the files are printed out. You can use that in a multitude of different ways. We'll go into more specifics on different case uses for this whenever we're there in person. Today, I just want to take a moment. I believe Mark Hancock, I saw he sent you a link for you to be able to download the USFM converter. You may or may not have had time to do that. I would say by a show of hands, but we only have a few people here that are on video. Have you been able to download the USFM converter? Do you have that downloaded on your computer?
No.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not sure what your internet speeds are and what kind of problems this might create for you. But I want you to kind of work along with me. I feel like tactile learning, actually clicking through, will maybe help you not forget what I'm saying. Although it's pretty user friendly, I'm going to provide for you here in the chat, if I can find this. Zoom is not my forte, but let's see here.
And Sean, just to let you know, I put in the in the chat the link for the converter.
Good. Could you just guys take a moment, and if you do not have it downloaded, navigate to the link that's provided for you in the chat, and then download that file. It's a very small file. Once you've downloaded it, you need to click it and then run it and make sure that it's on your computer, and then have that pulled up. I'm going to give you a moment, and then I'm going to share my screen with you, and then we're going to work through a few things together. Okay.
And that link will open up to the page for USFM converter. It gives you the choices for a DMG file or a DEB. Those are both Mac or Linux, and I'm sure that you're already aware of the executable file USFM Windows 1.1.1.exe.
I can pull that up and share what what they're seeing, and kind of, can you Mark, it has disabled for me to use the screen sharing.
Ooh,
Would you turn that off for me?
Yeah,
thanks.
sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
You should be able to.
Okay, thanks. All right, here we go. So here is what you should see. If you have a Windows computer, you would pick this file. If you have a Mac, you would pick this file. I'm not sure how many of you would be using Linux, but of course, if you have Linux, you can pick that one. And then once you download it, I want you to open it and you should be able to see this, of course, with no files in there, but I'll just give you a little bit longer. When you begin to get it, when you get it downloaded and the program open, will you kind of just shout at me and say, done? Great. How are you guys doing? You having trouble or are you getting close?
We have one person in the chat that is done, and I've resubmitted the page to download the USFM converter.
Okay.
And thanks, Nana.
If you have any questions or if you're having any trouble, please communicate that. We won't take a ton of time on this, but it is helpful if you can pull it up. So I'll give just a moment more. And then if you're unable to get it downloaded, then you can, of course, go on later and try to do that. But let's give it a few more minutes and see if we can get you to a place where you can get it downloaded. And next is on. If you have it down, will you tell me in the chat that you're done? Okay. No problem if you're unable to download it. We will encourage you, of course, to keep trying to do that post the meeting. So for those of you who are unable to download it, it might possibly be because of the internet with, of course, we're on Zoom and we're doing video conference. And so I'm going to go ahead and can everybody see my screen? Mark, can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and move forward. What we really want to encourage you to make sure that in the next several days here, in the next couple of days, that you take the time after the meeting and you make sure that this program is downloaded on your computer. If you have any issues in the next couple of days with getting it downloaded, then we will want you to reach out to us and then we will try to walk you through and help you make sure that it's downloaded. That will be helpful as we do further training with this whenever we show up in person, okay? So this it's just really important that you take the time and do that so that you're prepared when we get there for the training event. Let me go ahead and hop in here. I'm going to do a couple things. This software helps you to be able to convert USFM files to different types of documents. Now, to be able to pull in, so it's a really simple layout. You have to be able to locate and you can actually pull and drag in files into project files, USFM files, right here into this window. I have one or a few files already loaded. So here's a few files: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Sure.
Yeah. Somebody say something? Okay. And so this is a DRC. This is the language. Marv, can you tell me this language? How do you pronounce this? Are you here?
I am here.
How do you pronounce that?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I call it Kinyabwisha, but I'm not sure that's quite right.
Oh, that sounds way better than what I would have said. So thanks, Mark. So we know that that's the language. Now I have a couple of USFM files from DRC, that language. And what we can do is, now I located this on my computer, so it's actually in one of the, it's in my download folder. I had this sent to me by Marv. So this is the USFM file. Now, for this to convert, it's converting from USFM to different type of file documents, like a PDF or a Word file, or you can convert it into different file types. So we'll take Matthew. This is the book of Matthew. You can only do a book at a time. You can't do the whole New Testament. We'll take Matthew, we'll drag it in, it's real simple, over into the USFM converter. So there it is. You don't really have to click on it. It basically converts everything that you load in here. You could actually load in multiple files. So I could load in, Matthew and Mark. So you could load in multiple. And then what happens is when you convert it, it will convert every file that is in this window. So if I have Matthew, Mark, I could even do Luke and John. I could drag those over, and then it'll convert all 4 of these, right? But it will convert them into, it won't convert it into one file. It'll convert them into multiple different files. So is that right?
Actually, no, Sean, I think it will go into one file.
Oh, that'll be fantastic then. So
Yeah.
it'll merge them into one file?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, perfect. So, so anyway, so let's do that for
You might want to, yeah, there you go.
remove
Well,
those files.
well, no, I was going to say you could do them. Why don't you do them all so that
Okay,
they
I'll
can
do that.
see that?
let's
Yeah.
do that. We'll merge them into, I haven't done that yet, so that's new. Thanks, Marv. So, okay, so once you get these Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in here, they're USFM files and you want to convert them, the only thing you have to do once they're loaded in is you go to settings. Okay, so you'll click settings, and inside of here, there are multiple options for you. So here at the very top, it shows file format. So you can convert it into these types of file format. So for the sake of today, we'll want to do a doc file, which would be basically a Word file or document file. Probably most of you would open up this file with Word. And so we'll select docx. And you can select the font size, small, normal, or large. I probably would select large if I have my contacts in, because then I won't have to have my readers on. But most people probably won't do small unless they were wanting to have more per page to save printing. So if you want to have more words on the page to save, have to print less pages, you could select small. But this is just really up to you. So I just put normal. It's in the medium size. It seems more appropriate for every situation. How do you want your text to read? What did somebody ask a question? Okay. So how do you want your text to read? Left to right. You can do single space or double space. I select single space. And here, you can do one column, which will fill the whole page from left to right. It'll fill the whole page. For the sake of this, let's just do 2 columns. All right, so it'll do 1 column on the left and 1 column on the right. I typically don't justify the text. It seems to have a little trouble with that right now. What I would encourage you to always have selected, and this is important, is to always have selected chapter break. This reads better, so then at the end of your chapter, it moves on to the next page. This creates a better break for you, and will be easier to navigate. All right, so make sure, this is super important, that this is always selected blue. Okay, so you want to make sure that's selected. And then verse break is really up to you. I have that selected. Now, I will say this. You guys can play around with this, and you can export this in a multitude of different ways and see what looks best. If you select note taking, what is going to happen is on your page, so if you have if you have, let's just say one column on your page, see this part that's grayed out? It will bump, instead of making your text run all the way across, it's going to bump all of your text over into what, like this gray area. And then over here, this is going to be empty. So it's going to create a note-taking space on the right-hand side of your text. Okay, so that gets a little problematic when you have two columns because both sides are filled up. So what it does is, if you have a column here and a column here on this side, it bumps the text over halfway into that column and then leaves space on both sides of both columns, okay? So we'll play with that in just a minute. I'll show you what it is. But for the sake of this first one, let's not do note-taking or table of contents. Now, once you get everything set in there, and you can't mess up, you can always go back and you can save the file. All right, so there's no reason to be scared to try different things. That's kind of what you want to do, is to try different things and find the setting that's best for you. Once you're done, it automatically saves. So you don't have to hit save or anything. You go up to the top and you hit X, right? Now these settings are always saved. So if you were to close down USFM Converter and then you were to take a couple days and let's say next week you want to convert a USFM file, and you come and you open the file back up and then you go into settings, all of your settings will be exactly the same. So as your last time you adjusted things, okay? So if you found a setting that works for you, you really won't have to go in here again, all right? So that makes things a lot easier on that part. Now, once you have your settings, once you have your files loaded in here, all you have to do is hit convert, all right? So you'll hit convert. Now, what I've done is on my computer, and this might look different on a PC, so my apologies on this. I have created a file. So if it's in my documents folder, so you can see here, I have selected documents, and then I created a folder called USFM, okay? So I created a folder in my documents folder called USFM, and then I created, how do you pronounce that again, Marv?
Someone there should say it.
Yeah, that would be,
Kinyabuisha, something like that.
yeah.
Kinayabuisha. I don't know.
From DRC, I created a file for that. And then I'll just put, let's just say New Testament, or let's just say the Gospels. Okay. So I'm naming my project file that I'm exporting out. I named it Gospels. Okay. And so then we hit save. And it says success. Now, the good thing is I don't have to go all the way back into where that file is. I can just open it right from here once it's converted. So we'll hit open file, and it will open this. It'll find something to open that docx file. Okay. It found Word for me. So I just hit yes, and then it opens it up in Word. Okay. So we selected two columns. So you can see here that we have two columns. We'll read down the left column, read down the right column, and then the same goes for here. And so that's how it goes. Now, this is what I was talking about, the chapter breaks, to kind of make things easier for you to see the chapters. We created a break. So now if it finishes early in the page, that's okay. It just has a little extra space, and then here's chapter 2. Okay. So that's what two columns look like. Now let's say that, hey, I don't really like this. I would like to, it'll be easier for me to read everything if, I have more space. What if I want to take notes, or what if I want to do something on here? I wish this were double spaced, or I wish this didn't have two columns. I wish it just read all the way across the page. Well, we can fix that. So we close out this file. All right. We'll go back in here, and then we can go into settings. So we didn't like the two columns because we wanted to read all the way across. So we'll move it to one column. And then Line spacing. I was like, hey, we want more spacing between the lines. That will help us. Maybe we can take notes in there. We still want it left to right. And so then we just hit X, and then that saved the settings, and we go to convert. Now, what is neat here is it allows us to go back. It pulls up the file that we did where we had it saved before. And all you have to do is click the file that you want to overwrite. So Gospels in this case here. So we clicked Gospels and it loaded it. And then we hit save. And then it asks us if we want to replace it. And we say yes. And then it saved it and we open the file. Yes. And then here it created spaces for us. So it did one column. We did double spacing, and so it reformatted for us. We can have more room to maybe take notes, or it's easier to read, and things of that nature, right? So let's do one more. This is just how simple it is. Let's go back in here, go to settings. I didn't really like the double space. Let's take out the verse break. That takes up room. We want to save paper, so we don't have to cut down more trees to have paper. Printing out. And then what was I going to do? Single space. Yeah, I think let's try that. And then convert. Go to the file that we have to overwrite. Save, replace, open file. Then here we go. So it just shows you different options. That saves on paper there. It's easier to read, reads more like a book. Okay. And there you go. So that is a brief overlook of USFM Converter. Seems pretty easy, doesn't it? Doesn't seem too bad. Some of you might be asking, well, where do we get our USFM files from? Well, that's a good question. Or how do we get the work we've been doing on BTT Writer? How do we get that to export the work we've been doing into a USFM file so that I can then convert it into a format that I would prefer? That's a good question. So now you may not have it downloaded yet, but we'll go to, let's see, well, it's up here. So here's BTT Writer. Can you see that, Marv and Mark, guys, on my screen?
I can.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to open up BTT Writer. If I fail at this, then Marv will take over and help me out. So I pulled BTT Writer. So for you guys, if you've been doing some translation work, you of course will have your project files and your language you've been working on loaded into BTT Writer. So here I have a project file, and this is your home screen. So if I go to here, over here to this little 3 dots in BTT Writer, well, it's not there actually. I am in the home screen. Okay. So this is just what it loads. It loads at the very start all of your projects. So let's go to a project. We want to move out as a USFM file. Okay. So we'll click, we'll say, hey, Matthew, we want this to be a USFM file. Okay. We'll open the project. This might take a little bit. Okay, so here's your project. Here it is in English, and here it is, the translation. And so then what we do is we go down here to your option button, these 3 dots on the bottom left. Select that. Now what we want to do is we want to export this BTT Writer project file. We want to export it, okay? And it'll give us an option. So let's click export. So you can upload it to server. You guys should be familiar with that if you've done any translation work, because as you complete work, you can upload it to the server, and then the work you've done is saved and you won't lose it. That's important. Also, you can export, there it is, the USFM file. Now that's important. That's what we need for USFM converter. Of course, you can export as a PDF, export it as a project file. It's currently saved as a project file on here. So we need to convert it or export it as a USFM file. So we'll select that. Now what it's going to do here is it's going to ask us, where do you want to put this file? Well, that's a good question. You can put it wherever you want on your computer. For the sake of this, I'm going to put it in my downloads. All right. So basically it's taking the language and the Matthew, this project file, and is putting it into my downloads folder. All right. And you can see here, it's a USFM. That's what it's converting it to. So we'll, let's see here for the sake of this. Let me empty my project file or my download folder. We'll hit save and it'll save it to my downloads folder. Project's been exported. So we took a project from BTT Writer and we exported a USFM file. As we exported this project as a USFM file. So then in our downloads folder, there it is. So now we can go to, I believe, Marv, am I on the right track here?
Yep.
Okay. Now we should be able, let me close BTT Writer. It really is slowing my computer down. Okay. So this is the downloads folder. We should be able to, let me remove this. Let's see. Should be able to take this over here. It's basically the path to where that file is. We have our settings. We can convert it. Let's just change it to this. And let's open file. There it is. That's the project file we converted from BTT Writer, and then we converted it to a doc file by using that. So this is how these two programs work together. If you need a USFM file, you can convert it from BTT Writer, and USFM Converter converts it to a doc file or another usable format that will be helpful for you to read, to print out, to format, and things of that nature. So let me go back to here. That's about as simple as I can make it. And there's probably a little more detail that we can, of course, go into and Marv can discuss when we are there in person. Marv, do you have anything you would like to add to that, and then we can open up for questions? What would you add?
No, I mean, yeah, from there you can just, reformat that Word doc as you want. There are style issues that might come up, but if you're familiar with Word or LibreOffice, which you can also open that same document in LibreOffice, you'd be able to manipulate it. It's a way to get you something that's easier to read than a USFM file. And you might want to print out for checking or review, that kind of thing. I also just had a use case where people wanted to be able to grab just particular verses from a translation. And it was easy to do that from that Word document. You can just select the portion you want and copy it and paste it into the next thing that you want to produce that maybe only has a few verses, maybe a brochure or something. So it gives you some options like that.
That's good.
There is a second way. Oh, and Mark has a question, I see. Mark? We're not hearing you.
It is not a question. It's just, I think Mark is just asking people to fill the form.
Oh, okay.
No, it's the other Mark. It's the other
other
Mark,
Mark.
M-A-R-C.
But we're not hearing
Yeah.
you.
Can you write your question in the chat? Would that help?
We can't hear you.
He's unmuted. He's unmuted.
know.
I can't hear him.
I've had to monkey around with my microphone settings
Oh,
each
no, he's
time.
muted. Let me see if I can unmute him.
There, now he's
there
unmuted.
he goes. He's unmuted now.
Yeah, he's just might have to select the correct microphone maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mark, could you write, would you be able to write your question in the chat? Because we're not hearing you. Can you write it in the chat?
Marc, on demande que tu écrives ta question dans le chat.
Merci, Prosper. While he's doing that, I was going to mention there is one other way to export from BTT Writer. I can share that. I have mine opened up. I'll see if I can share my screen. Whoops, let's see. Okay. Can you see BTT Writer here?
I can.
All right. And here's my home screen. I have several projects here. I can open the project and then export it the way that Sean was showing us. That's a great way. I can also click on this little I button that gives details and go to the upload export arrow. And that gives me the same options. So it's just another way to do the same thing. So you can either open the project, load the project. It's going to take mine a while. I don't know why. This would be a reason to not do it this way for me. And then do the 3 buttons and choose upload export and export to USFM. Or from my home screen, I can just go to the details button, the upload arrow, and choose to export there. So either way works. Either way is fine. Whatever makes sense to you. But this is how to get USFM files from BTT Writer. There are other ways to get other USFM files, and we can cover that more when we're in person. All right. Did we get that question? Ah, that's interesting. Yeah. It's a different question, but
I think that's a question from Francisco Camacho.
yes. Francisco, can you tell us any more? Let me make sure I understand the question you're asking. Can you describe that a little more?
Yeah, no, not is a question, it's a sentence. In the
Yeah.
field, in the field, maybe sometimes you need change a letter by a symbol,
Yeah.
but so you need convert the BTT file with USFM to work.
Yeah,
So in Word, you replace this letter with the symbol, and you can copy paste to BTT.
very good. Right. So a way to get the symbol that you need. So you export it to USFM, put it in Word, make those changes, and then copy and paste back into Writer so that it has the right symbol. Good use case. Good use case. Yeah.
Making sure that you have the correct keyboard to be able to do that, right,
Yes.
Paco?
Yeah. The right symbol set. Right.
So Mark wrote, what is the difference between export to PDF and follow the steps of USFM converter?
Do you want to answer that, Sean, or would you like me to? Okay. Great question. The difference is when you export to PDF, which is you can do that, and it gives you very quickly output from BTT Writer. When you do that, it's a fixed format. You know how PDFs are. You don't really edit those. You couldn't change the font size. You can't do a lot of change to them normally. And so you're fixed with the format that BTT Writer produces. Whereas with the USFM converter, it gives you some option to make it a more readable, but also a little more editable format. You can do some changes to it. It's still not I do not use USFM converter to produce something that we're going to publish as a book. We use some other programs for that, and I'm going to describe those in a few weeks. But it does give you some USFM converter does give you a way to get a document that you can do some editing with. You can make some changes. You could change the page size. You can do some things like that. Whereas PDF is you're pretty much stuck with what you have. Does that answer that question? All right. Francisco, the difference between the USFM file for MTB, which is, what's MTB?
Sorry, it's between USFM Oracle.
I missed that. Could you tell me that again?
Yeah. What is the difference between the USFM file for BTT and USFM for Oracle?
Now I think it's Mancho's turn, but the USFM file itself, I think, for BTT Writer, it can bring those USFM files in directly. You import them in. I think in Orature, they are put into more of a container. There's a little bit more to it. I think that gets them ready for Orature. The actual parts of the file, the USFM parts don't change, but I think there's some manifest things and things like that that are added to get them to work in Orature, if you want the text to show up in Orature. Is that correct, Mancho?
That's right. You have an A+ in the class.
Whoa! Wow! Wow!
If
I'm going to mark
have,
this day down. Yeah.
If we don't have that manifest in the USFM file that Orature need, it's not gonna open. That's why.
Yeah.
Roger is a, remember, an audio software and need more instructions to do.
Right.
An example to record. Also, the new feature that you see in Orature that you don't have to press next, next, next. Only you have to press pause, and then you go to the next verse and record each verse in separately, but at the same time. When you only press the button pause, that's it. But you are correct, Mark. A plus.
So yeah, so there's a little more that has to be done to the file to get it to be able to come into Orature.
But it's not so far that we're gonna bring from BTT to Orature directly. At the moment you finish the project, you're gonna take that project. You don't have to wait for us. You take that project, put it in your Orature, and start the project with the. Oh, remember, as always I say, you have to have the permission from the project manager in that area. Don't start any project without permission, please. Always with the permission of the project manager, because we want to do a good things, but we don't know the time that the project manager want to start that project, because if we remember the A step, we need to check all that books that pass the A step. If some books not pass the A step, we cannot start the project, okay?
And
Sorry for my
Mancho did,
voice.
I'm sorry.
Sorry
Did I-
for my voice.
Did I hear you correctly, Mancho? That is a feature that will be coming to Orature, but it's not in Orature today. Is that correct?
That's correct. I don't know if in this day, because I know the guys are working hard, they maybe put in a better one that you can download and check if directly from BTT. You can take and put it in Orature. I don't know. We have to ask, but in Bali, we asked that to Glenn, and he say that feature gonna be in Orature, that you only take from BTT directly and put it in Orature. What time that gonna take? He don't say that. That is the good, the wise,
Yeah.
the wise word that Glenn say, because now we have to wait. Maybe we can push him. Hey, Glenn, we need that. But no, take it easy. Take your time.
That's a great, that will be a great option. Thank you. Other questions?
For those that are using Orature right now, it's possible. Yes, if you need some project to start a Orature project, you only have to write me or write Sean, Michael, all at us, and we can forward that email to Glenn. He can convert everything and put the manifest that Orature need and put it in the email and send to you, because Paco did that in Spain. Paco did that with the help of Glenn.
Now, just to let you know, we're going to be talking more about Orature on June 17th and the 24th. So this is a little preview.
Yes.
Sorry for that.
Oh, no.
No, good question. No bad questions. Good question. Well, we'll be able to discuss this in more detail, but that's a general overview. You know, as you guys, the best way to kind of familiarize yourself with it is to make sure that it's downloaded. And then don't be scared to click around, and you can't mess things up and figure it out. If you have questions as you go through, you can consult this video and you can come back and you can see what I'm doing. And if you get stuck, and then if you do that and you still are stuck and you can't figure out what's going on, and you really would like some help, please reach out to one of us. We'll be happy to hop on with you in a one-on-one call and help you make sure that you have an understanding of what's going on with USFM Converter. We're happy to help in any way. But take some time at first, kind of playing around with it yourself. It's really user-friendly, very easy to use. Yeah, so let's, this is a good start, a good step in the right direction. And hopefully we've provided you with enough tools to start playing around a little bit with this program. So if you don't have any further questions, I'm done. I'll hand it over to you, Mark. And thank you, Mark, for your help and assistance, and
Welcome.
everybody for your questions and willingness to join today. I know time is precious, and so it is an important treasure. And thank you for giving a little bit of yours to help Bible translation. We are thankful for each and every one of you. God bless you guys. Mark?
All right. Thank you, Sean, and
Mhm.
Marv, and Moncho, and Paco, everyone who's contributed. We are really glad that that you've taken the time. Some people are probably watching this in the middle of the night, and I don't know. Wave your
Pretty-
hand.
It's pretty late for Gene. Yeah, good to see you.
So, just glad, if you were unable to watch the entire thing, I'm gonna put in the chat, and it won't be there. That's not it. In about an hour, I will send you a link for the video, and also I will continue to ask you to fill out the form. That way we know that you have watched it. There is no quiz, so don't worry about that. Sean was very easy on you, but if you do reply with that email, send us a picture of a file that you might have converted. That would be great to see. So just remember, today, what is today? Today is the 20th. Okay, so next week we are not having training. May 27th, we are not having training. So that means the next training is going to occur on June 3rd. And on June 3rd, it's scheduled for BTT Writer upload and printing. So that's something to we'll get back to our BTT writer training, and we are just really grateful that you are here, that we can continue to learn. If you have any questions, put them in the form. I think there's a place for questions, and if not. Send us an email, and that's it. You get out early.